All right, so I am underway. Today was the first actual real writing session that I've had in probably a few weeks at least. Past few weeks, basically, I've been putting all of kind of my effort into outlining, kind of planning out what I was going to do for this project here, etc. And now it's over. So the outlining stage is done, and now we're diving in. So with that, I am basically full-fledged diving in here. This is the first first draft of anything that I've written in, at least half a year, right? I figure at least. So it felt excellent to get back to the keyboard. And yeah, I went in today with the new project motivation. I spoke way back, I think in my earlier videos, about how when it comes to writing projects, there's often a bit of a bell curve. There is that period where very early on, right where I am right now, where everything's amazing. Everything feels awesome. It feels great. You're jumping in and you are just crushing it. The words are coming out of you basically really well. And you could basically take on the world, you think, to be a bit frank here. And yeah, that's basically how I felt today. I mean, I went in there, I just absolutely crushed it. Went and crushed the entire thing. I got just about a page written today, so it wasn't a ton necessarily, but it was pretty darn good for a first draft. I gotta say, it did not require too much of me having to rack my brain and really think this over. This happened to be just, again, that very first session there where the words just come to you, possibilities are endless, and just your first draft seems to feel very, very strong. I speak all the time about how you need to be very, very careful about what you do with the first draft because your later drafts are informed by the first one. You cannot do a fast draft that is crap. You cannot do the crappy brain sharding all over the page, just every thought that comes to you, and then later on go and revise it. I think you have to kind of revise in your head before you even put words to the page. You have to already form the sentences of your first draft in your mind, then put it on the page, then look at it, see if it sounds passable, at least passable. And if it does sound that way, all right, good, keep it there for now, but you'll probably end up revising it and getting rid of it later on. I don't believe in putting down quick drafts. I've spoken endlessly about that in these videos. And so for today, that's basically what I was doing, was just going through and making just a really solid first page, just a really solid opener to my first story. The intention is to have 10 stories, so 10 short stories. That is the intention behind the project. Again, I said before, I have about 5-ish at some stage of already being at least 5 stories that I've written before that I'm going to modify and change and alter and sort of bring into the fold of this collection here. It's going to be a collection of short stories. They're all going to be unified. They take place in the same town with similar interweaving characters, and it is going to be united around a certain event, which I'll go into more, I think, as the months kind of go on. But for now, kind of all people need to know, if you're following this, is just that it's going to be a collection of short stories, and this is the first one. This is a fresh story, so this is not any sort of one I worked on before that I'm going to edit later on. I'm saving those until later, till a bit later. I wanted to get one freshly written story put down first, just to give myself a bit of momentum, just to give myself a bit of motivation to do this. And so that is what today was, simply putting that motivation in there, getting that energy in, and then going through today and just going to crush it. That is the plan. We're going to crush. Fingers crossed. I am hoping that this first story goes well. I've given myself a deadline of basically end of January. So give myself about, really 2 months, a little bit less than 2 months now, but basically 2 months to get this thing done. Probably won't go anywhere near that long. It probably won't take me anywhere near necessarily that long. I'll probably be done at some point, probably at least early to mid-January, most likely. But I want to take my time with this. I want to get this done correctly. I don't want to I don't want to be rushed into putting down a draft that is going to be terrible. So I give myself plenty of time with these sort of things to get it done, but with something of a deadline, that way I'm not slacking off the whole time. Always a balance there between sort of the time in the quality of your work. Obviously, shorter time, lower quality. Longer time, improved quality, but it takes longer to get done. I don't want to wait, spend a year on this one single story. So I gave myself a deadline of about 2 months to get it done. Short fiction, it just generally speaking does not require that much time usually. Something that's 6,000 words, it doesn't, just as an example, that's, to write, say, 6,000 words, it's not going to take you, I don't think, 2 months to do that, to be honest. That would be a very, very long amount of time just to do a single draft of one, even when you're working at a very slower, sort of meticulous first draft style like I do. It just won't take necessarily that long. But again, it's going to give yourself plenty of time. When it comes to this, rushing is going to be the enemy of this whole thing. And yeah, I feel the rush. Just as soon as I made that video last night about how I was thinking about maybe self-publishing perhaps as an option at some point in the future for my stories, I got my first query rejection for one of those novels last night. It was very, very strange. I made the video, uploaded it, I think within about a half hour, so I checked my email, and it was sitting there right in my inbox. Inevitable part of the process, obviously. But with that, there's definitely going to be an element of rushing. There's definitely going to be an element of wanting to get this done. I'm going to have to constantly be fighting it. I can be very impatient. It seems the longer this goes on, the less patient I become, which is, I suppose, not breaking news for anybody. I think that's true of anybody, right? The longer you do something, the more impatient you become. But for me, it seems very, very self-destructive when that feeling comes over me. And so when I go through these projects, I want to avoid that sort of death wish mentality of just sort of self-sabotaging myself just to get something out there quickly. I need to avoid that at all costs, and fingers crossed I'll be able to do that. But for now, it's a waiting game, and I'm going to take this whole project basically one story at a time. I can't say what happens at the end of it. I can't tell you how this whole story is going to end up, or as far as what happens with this collection of stories. Selling a collection of short stories is very, very difficult, especially for a first-time author, if I can't get either the other two novels published. So I can't say what happens, but what I can say is this will be the best thing that I have done up to this point. That is one promise I've made to myself, to make this the best thing that I've done yet. And I'm very certain that's going to be true. I am quite certain this is going to be the best that I've done. And so with that, I'm going to sign off here. I'll be back tomorrow. But yep, we're now into the fray. We've now kind of jumped. We've gone spelunking, and we finally made our first descent into the cave. So let's see what happens.